Hello everyone, and welcome back to the layout. This is going to be a layout update for February of 2024. And man, this year's going by quick already. We're already 2 months into this here. This is going to cover what I've been up to here this month on the layout here, doing some scenery work as well as some things I've been up to at the workbench. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we take a look at what's been going on Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia division. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off here with our progress this month over here at Richards Curve and the rebuild I did over here. Now, the reason I ended up tackling this rebuild is right over in this area right here, I was having a bit of a derailment problem with how the track was laid. I didn't have the curve quite right when I originally laid it, so I was having some derailments just right about in here. And I really wanted to address that since I went ahead and did the rebuild over at Sherman Junction and put in the connection over there to make this kind of like a bypass way into our yard. So when I decided to go ahead and rip out the track, I also decided that I wasn't very happy with the scenery back in here. And the reason being for that was it originally, I didn't really know what I was doing when I did the scenery over here, and I didn't carve this out as much as what it is now. It was still kind of flat, and I just kind of built scenery on top of that. I really never cared for how it looked because what I ended up with was a whole bunch of like just layers of this kind of nonsense where I put down something, I put something on top of it, and it ended up being like a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick of just different scenery materials and things that I wasn't very happy with. So I went ahead and I ripped that all out and kind of redid this. I ended up getting a kind of a matte grass deal here, one of these deals, and put that down in the middle, and then just kind of trying to blend it in along the edges. And the reason I did that was I had done some static grass over the top over here, and it didn't look bad if you looked at it from the side, but if you looked at it from the top down at all, it looked terrible. It wasn't very thick, and it just never really looked that good. So I decided rather than try to do the static grass again and fight with that, I elected to just go with the mat and put it down and try to blend the edges in. And overall, it didn't come out too bad. The color's a little bit more burnt out looking than I'd like, a little bit more yellow, but at the end of the day, it was what I could find at the time, and it's what I went with there. So overall, this area is pretty good. I'll go ahead and I'll try to get some a different camera angle to put over the top of this to kind of show things a little bit better. As you guys know, I'm using a like microphone stand with my phone mount on it because I can't stand still enough to film things by hand. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw that over the top so you guys get a little better look at the overall deal here over here. One of the things I still have to do in this area is my little pole line poles I got here. I want to redo these. I've got some ones from another, who the heck is it? I think it's Pike stuff that I think look a lot better. But I'm wondering about doing the weathering on them. I kind of want to weather those poles. If any of you out there have suggestions on weathering the telephone poles to put up next to the lines, like what's a good way to go about it? I was thinking about airbrushing them and then doing like a wash and that kind of thing, but I'm not quite sure. So if you guys have any suggestions on that, feel free to comment them down below. All right, so now we're over here at Sherman Junction here, and I just want to take a quick look at this Quebec and New England boxcar. Any of you that are like me and watch the Q&E here on YouTube These just came out from Home Shops, and I actually picked up 2 of these myself. These are Rapido cars, and just one of those things where I like to stay prototypical, but at the same time, there's certain freelance railroads that I really enjoy, and the Q&E is one of them. Just a channel I've been watching for the last few years that just I always really enjoy seeing everything on, and now I'm kind of excited to be able to have a little piece of the Q&E here on my layout. Probably won't get to it this next month or two just because of how much I have going on, but my plan with these as of right now is going to be, one of them is going to be weathered and beat up and is going to stay in the 73 paint scheme, and the other one I'm actually going to take and I'm going to redo the lube plate, take off the little ACI plate, and redo the capacity data, get rid of that, and I'm going to make it look like it was an update, like a fresh repaint car from the 90s, just to kind of give some variation, because I did pick up 2 of these, and everybody that watches the Q&E will know there's nothing really weathered on there, and everything's just a certain level of perfect that I really enjoy. You know, one of the things I really enjoy. So that's why I'm going to have one car that's going to be repainted, and then I'm going to have one that's going to be more fitting of what I normally run, and things that are beat up and used up. So that'll be a pretty cool project when I get to it. Really look forward to it. But one thing I noticed with these Rapido cars is these doors are separate, and all of you probably know what that means. That means CR Steve might be opening up some doors. I got to find out. I have to put these on the scale yet to see what the weight is on them. I've kind of made the decision that if they're at NMRA weight, I'm probably not going to open the doors on them. I'm just going to weather them and leave them be. But if I do have to add weight to them, and I got to go through the whole process of, you know, pulling it open to add weight to it, then I might end up taking on the project and opening up the doors on these cars, just because, you know, kind of one of those neat things to add some interest. But either way, a really neat car. Any of you that are fans of the Q&E, I recommend you go pick them up. They are worth every penny. They are very nicely done. All right, so one of the bigger projects I completed this month here was finally getting this Conrail 7678 done. This is obviously the companion unit to the 7677, and was kind of an important rebuild for me because these 2 units were in one of my videos that went kind of bigger back in, oh gosh, that was 2-3 years ago now, pulling a coiled steel train. I never really was happy with the weathering on them as I've gotten better at it. So I wanted to go back and revisit them and redo them, and this is the second one, obviously, that's been redone. But this one kind of fought me a little bit. I had a bit of an issue with the lighting on it when I wired it. I kind of did a little bit of a stupid. I had a LED in one of the ditch light housings that was shorting out on the ditch light casting, so I ended up, oh gosh, I spent like 3 weeks playing with it on and off trying to figure out what was wrong before I finally found that issue and corrected it. But either or, this locomotive's now finally got the classic CR Steve rust weathering going on it, and matches how it looked in 99 right before the split, nice and beat up and looking cool. So this is one that hopefully you guys will be seeing in a video here in another few weeks to a month or so, once I finally get the track clean to get trains back running again. With all this scenery work I've been doing, I haven't been able to run much, so hopefully we'll get some layout running going back shortly here. All right, and for now, for our last bits from the layout here, we have a pair of units that I've been kind of toying around with, doing weathering and messing with here over the last month or now, so last month and a half. So you guys are going to look at these and say, Steve, I didn't think you modeled the 70s, and I don't. I actually have been selling off all my 70s stuff for the last few months, and I got these Lehigh Valley U23Bs, and well, when I was looking up, the prices on them were just way cheap, and I just didn't want to let them go for as little as they were selling for. So I kind of decided, you know what, maybe I could patch them and weather them and make them look cool, and do something different with them and do something neat. So the first one here is the 2777, and then behind it you guys can see is the 2780. These are both just, you know, Atlas U23Bs that are DC that I've weathered. That my current game plan is I'm going to run them a little bit and make sure they run all right, break them in, and then I'll probably end up listing them on eBay here eventually. Probably sometime around the next layout update, I'll probably end up listing them for sale. But just kind of a fun, different project. I don't do much 70s stuff and do the patch deal very often because I'm a 90s guy, but still something kind of neat. So we'll go ahead and get a shot here of the 2780 as well. And here's the 2780, kind of similar weathering job as the 2777, just with a little bit less lighter oil slick deal going on here where there's an oil leak, but just kind of some cool units that taking something that's, you know, kind of was something I didn't want to sell for next to nothing. I'd rather put a little work into it and maybe hopefully get a decent dollar for them, but we'll see. I might end up holding on to them. We just don't know yet. So these were just a neat project to mess around with and do some weathering and do something that's kind of out of my normal groove of what I do. All right, so now we're over here at the paint booth, and one of the big projects I've really been messing with here this month, I got a wild hair up my rear end to go ahead and try and do some ballast cars. And I'm actually going to be doing these for a how-to video here on the channel. These cars are BH1D, is what their classification was on Conrail, but basically they were like an Ortner aggregate style car that had ballast doors on the bottom. And Conrail had these. These went on to CSX and Norfolk Southern after the split, but they weren't too difficult of a build. You know, they're not perfect. Some of these ribs and stuff are a little crooked and such, but they were a simple enough build that I felt comfortable doing a build series for the channel on them, so that anybody can do this. Anybody could build these. They're not incredibly difficult, but they are a car that, you know, Conrail had that I doubt will ever be mass produced because of how the ribs are different than what the factory style was on the Ortner cars. So either way, a neat project. These particular ones are ready now to go to paint. I got to paint them hopefully next weekend. But this is the first of the ballast cars I'm going to be doing a build video on. We'll head over to the other workbench and show the other builds that we're also doing. All right, so now we're back over here to the workbench. These are BH1C cars I'm working on right here. I'm actually doing, I believe, 5 of these total. I did 4 of the BH1D cars. And this is the first one that was kind of completed here that I built. As you guys can tell, I've got, you know, this one here that's also in progress. It's about halfway. And then, of course, our starting point, which is just a open hopper that we got to cut down. Now, builds like this, what I do for to make these builds for the channel is I'll take and I'll kind of come up with the idea and I'll build 1 or 2 cars first. Generally, I try to do at least 2. That way, when I go to film the actual how-to video, I've kind of already got a plan in place of, you know, a good order to do things and little bits and pieces I'd like to know, and try to have things more refined, so that way if anybody's watching the video, it's simple, it's not overdone, and I try to have all this stuff figured out already that you might want to know throughout the process. So look for these sometime next month, probably towards the end of the month. I'm hoping to have the first videos out on them, but we'll see. It just kind of depends on how things are going. It's also why I've been doing the freight car tour builds. And another project that'll be coming down the pipe here, which I know a bunch of people are going to be excited for, is our MT6 slug build. This is going to be using the Pacific Northwest Resins MT6 shell that I picked up a few years ago. I believe these will be coming back out again, hopefully sometime soon, but using that with an Atlas motor and drive, and some SD series trucks from Atlas as well, from like an SD35. So this is another project that, again, I'm actually doing 2 of these. One will be for a build video on the channel, and one will be my figure it all out before I try to film it video. So definitely something cool to look forward to coming up here in the future for sure. Other than that, I also plan on doing a video on opening up cab doors and doing the DCC and sound install on the SD38s when I get to them. One of the other things we messed with this month was got some more of these chassis hoppers kind of done here. Not too shabby. Went for kind of a lighter weathering deal, just like the little bits of rust, the little dots and stuff, and just kind of kept it a little more simple with some of these, just to add some variety to the train of them. And then, of course, we have the more heavier weathering too as well here, with some patchwork, etc. Just, you know, went a little bit heavier on these ones. But overall, other than that stuff, I've pretty much just been trying to work on getting these kit bash builds started and done and all that, and really been focusing on trying to do all that. Been kind of trying to take my time a little bit and enjoy the projects, and you know, trying not to take on too much, I guess is the best way to put it. I've been kind of take a step back a little bit so I don't get burnt out doing all this, and try and just enjoy the projects when it's all said and done. Another thing I've been working on as well, which if I can remember to get a picture of it and put it in here, I've actually been working on the track map for a layout tour, because I've been promising a layout tour for the better part of 2.5 years. And it's time I finally get one done. So I've been working on that on the computer. It's just kind of a pain in the rear end trying to do my the track arrangement on my layout on one of those computer programs. I don't have much patience for that stuff, and been working on it a little bit at a time. But if I recall, I'll make sure that's right about here in the video. I'll make sure to overlay that so you guys can kind of see what it looks like so far. And hopefully I'll have that layout tour done by April 1st. That's the goal for Conrail Day. Not April Fool's Day, it's Conrail Day. That'll be hopefully the day that's done. But either way, not a lot to show this month, guys. I wasn't really feeling good the first 2 weeks of the month, so didn't get quite as much done as I'd like, but I'm still trying to kind of soldier on and battle through and get more and more done. So as always, I want to thank everybody for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all that fun jazz, and hope you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully everybody has a good month of March, and see you guys in the next layout update.